Greetings! Mantare79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a G standard formats. Kagero's Dragonic Overlord the Cross with Harmonics Messiah. Alrighty, let's begin. And here we are in the Grade 0 lineup. For the Grade 0 of this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 0 Lizard Soldier Conroe. The Grade 0 Lizard Soldier Conroe starting unit. Skills for skill auto. When another Kagero rides this unit, you may call this card to rearguard circle. Second skill, action as a rearguard. Cost, counterblast 1 and retire this unit. If the cost is paid, search your deck for up to 1 Grade 1 or less Kagero, reveal it to your opponent, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So for Lizard Soldier Conroe, it's the starting unit of this deck. And if its skills, the first skill, just by riding any Kagero unit on top of Conroe, you'll be able to superior call Conroe from your souls to rearguard to serve as a potential attacker, booster, or a rearguard whose skill you wish to make use of later in the game. And second skill, just by paying the cost, you can then add any Grade 1 or less Kagero from your deck to your hand, giving you any option to get a specific Grade 1 or lower card you wish to make use of later in the game. And if that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 0 lineup. Now for the Grade 1 lineup. And now for the Grade 1 lineup. For the Grade 1s of this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 1 Lizard General Conroe, 4 Grade 1 Doombringer High Flame, and 4 Grade 1 Protect Orb Dragon. The Grade 1 Lizard General Conroe, skills for skill auto. When this unit is placed in the rearguard circle from hand, cost, choose a Grade 3 card from your hand and reveal it. Search your deck for up to 1 card of Grade 3 card of Overlord and its card name, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Choose a card from your hand and discard it. Second skill, action as a rearguard. Cost, retire this unit. If the cost is paid, choose up to 1 of your vanguards of Overlord and its card name, and then until end of turn, it gets auto as a vanguard. When this unit attacks, countercharge 2. So for Lizard General Conroe, it's a support card for the Overlord series. With its skills, the first skill, just by calling Conroe to the rearguard and paying the cost, you can then search your deck for any specific Dragonic Overlord you wish to add to your hand later to use for your later game strategy. Any second skill, just by paying the cost, you can give your Vanguard the skill that will allow you to refund your counterblast by countercharging 2 for every time your Vanguard attacks. The Grade 1 Doombringer High Flame, skills for skill auto. When this unit is placed in the rearguard circle, choose up to 2 cards of Overlord and a card name from your drop zone, return them to deck. If you return 1 or more cards, shuffle your deck. If you return 2 or more cards, draw a card. Second skill, auto as a rearguard. Cost, retire this unit. If the cost is unpaid, at the beginning of your ride phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, until end of turn, you may strike without paying the cost the next time you strike a G unit with Overlord as card name. So for High Flame, another support card for the Overlord series. With its skills, the first skill, just by calling High Flame and paying the skills cost, you have the chance to not only return more Overlords to your deck, but to also draw more cards to increase your hand size with. Any second skill, but just by paying the cost, you can then use High Flame as your rear guard to pay for the cost for strike cost when you strike a G unit with the Overlord as card name, thus preserving your hand. The Grade 1 Protect Orb Dragon, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Skills for skill, Continuous Sentinel. Second skill, auto. Choose a card from your hand, discard it. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle from hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your vanguards that is being attacked and that unit cannot be hit until end of battle. Then if there is a card named Protect Orb Dragon in your drop zone, choose a card from your damage zone and turn it face up. So for Protect Orb Dragon, it's a perfect guard for the Kagero clan. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When used to guard with and discarding 1 card from your hand, you can block 1 enemy attack. But it also features an ability unique to all G standard format perfect guards. When used to guard with, while the conditions of the skill are met, you can then countercharge 1, giving you more counterblast to work with later in your turn. And of that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 1 lineup. Now let's get on to the Grade 2 lineup. And now for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s of this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 2 Emperor Dragon Knight Nehalem, 4 Grade 2 Burning Horn Evolute, and 3 Grade 2 Glow Heater Dragon. The Grade 2 Emperor Dragon Knight Nehalem skill: continuous as a rear guard, Generation Break 1. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard of Overlord in its card name, this unit gets plus 2000 power. And auto as a rear guard, when your Grade 4 or greater Vanguard attacks, this unit gets plus 5000 power until end of turn. So for Nehalem, it's a support card for the Overlord series with its skill. As long as the conditions of the skill are met, not only do you get to turn your Nehalem into a 11,000 point attacker for the front row, but also for every time your Vanguard attacks, you can give more power to your Nehalem. And the best part is this skill is stackable. For the Dragonic Overlord series specializes in restanding and attacking multiple times your Vanguard. So for every time you attack your Vanguard Overlord, you can just keep stacking more power into Nehalem, making it a more powerful front row attacker to help you pressure or finish off your opponent's whiff. The Grade 2 Burning Horn Evolute skills: for skill, auto, cost Soul Blast 1, and choose a card with Overlord in its card name from your hand and reveal it. When this card is placed in the rear guard circle, you may pay the cost. If you pay the cost, choose an opponent's rear guard in the same column as his unit and retire it. And second skill: continuous as a rear guard. If you have a Grade 4 Vanguard of Overlord in its original card name, this unit gets plus 2000 power for each card in your opponent's damage zone. So for Evolute, it's another support card for the Overlord series with its skill. The first skill: just by paying the cost and meeting the conditions of the skill, you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards. And the second skill: as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, you can turn your Evolute into a more powerful front row attacker to help you pressure or finish off your opponent with. Then the Grade 2 Glow Heater Dragon skills: for skill, auto, when this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle or rear guard circle, choose one card from your hand, reveal it, and if neither that card nor your Vanguard is a card of Overlord in its card name, this unit gets plus 5000 power until end of turn. Second skill: continuous as a rear guard. If you have a Grade 4 Vanguard of Overlord in its original card name, this unit gets plus 2000 power for each card in your opponent's damage zone. So for Glow Heater Dragon, another support card for the Overlord series. The first skill is more or less a semi-negative effect unless you have a Vanguard or have a card in your hand with Overlord in its card name. When you call Glow Heater Dragon, you will end up losing 5000 power, weakening your Glow Heater Dragon as a Vanguard rear guard. And second skill: as long as the conditions of the skill are met, you'll be able to turn your Glow Heater Dragon into a more powerful front row attacker to help you potentially pressure or finish off your opponent's whiff. And of that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s of this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the Cross, 4 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the End, and 2 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, Break Ride. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, the Cross, skills: for skill, action as a Vanguard, Legion, 22,000 power, Dragonic Overlord, the End. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit may return 4 cards from your drop zone to your deck once. Search your deck for the specified card, Dragonic Overlord, the End, and Legion. Second skill: auto as a Vanguard. When this unit Legion, search your deck for up to 1 card of the same card name as the unit on your Vanguard circle, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Then third skill: auto as a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 1, and choose a card named Dragonic Overlord from the cross from your hand and discard it. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If the attack did not hit during that battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's rear guards and retire them. So for Dragonic Overlord, the Cross is one of the main Grade 3s to run in this deck. With its skills, the first skill, Legion. For those of you who are familiar with the Legion mechanic, it's simple. Just by returning 4 cards from your drop zone to the deck, you can Legion Dragonic Overlord the end to your Vanguard, giving your Vanguard increased power and more options for skills and attacks. And the second skill, whenever you Legion Dragonic Overlord the Cross, you have the chance to search your deck for either Dragonic Overlord the Cross or any other card that's on your Vanguard circle upon Legioning. For example, Dragonic Overlord the End, having a specific grade 3 to make use of later in your later game strategy. And the third skill, whenever your Vanguard Dragonic Overlord the Cross does not land its attack on your opponent, by paying the cost, you can retire 2 of your opponent's rear guards instead, giving you a more or less a compensation for a failed attack by letting you retire rear guards. The grade 3, Dragonic Overlord, the End. Skills for skill, continuous as a Vanguard rear guard. If you have a non-Kagero Vanguard or rear guard, this unit gets minus 2000 power. Second skill, continuous as a Vanguard. If you have a card named Dragonic Overlord in your soul, this unit gets plus 2000 power. And third skill, auto as a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 2, and choose a card named Dragonic Overlord the End from your hand and discard it. When this unit attack hits, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit. So for Dragonic Overlord, the Ends are the other main grade 3s to play in this deck. If it skills the first skill is just a negative skill. If you have any non-Kagero unit on your field, you lose power, so it's not that important skill as long as you play your deck correctly. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the skill are met, your Vanguard Dragonic Overlord the End will continuously have plus 2000 power for both your turn and your opponent's turn. And the third skill, whenever your Vanguard Dragonic Overlord the End lands a successful attack on your opponent, under their Vanguard rear guard, by paying the cost, you can restand your Vanguard at the end for another attack. The grade 3, Dragonic Overlord, Break Ride. Skills for skill, auto. Limit Break 4, this ability is active if you have 4 or more damage. When a Kagero rides this unit, choose your Vanguard, and until end of turn, that unit gets plus 10,000 power, and auto as a Vanguard. Cost Counterblast 1, and choose a Kagero from your hand, discard it. At the end of the battle, this unit attack the rear guard, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit. This ability cannot be used for the rest of that turn. Even if you do not pay the cost, this ability cannot be used for the rest of the turns. And the second skill, auto as a Vanguard. When this unit attacks, if the number of rear guards you have is more than your opponent's, this unit gets plus 2000 power until end of battle. And third skill, continuous as a Vanguard rear guard, Lord. If you have a unit without the same clan as this unit cannot attack. So for Dragonic Overlord Break Ride, it's another one of the main grade 3s to play in this deck. Its skill, the first skill, a limit break skill. When you ride a grade 3 or higher unit on top of your Vanguard Dragonic Overlord Break Ride while you have 4 more cards in your damage zone, not only do you give plus 10,000 power to your Vanguard, but activate a skill. Whenever your Vanguard attacks a rear guard, by paying the cost, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, your attacking Vanguard Dragonic Overlord Break Ride will get plus 2,000 power. And the third skill is just a restriction skill. As long as you don't play a different clan card in your deck, your Overlord won't be restricted. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 4 grade 0 Dragon Dancer Paloma, critical trigger. 4 grade 0 Dragon Dancer Tikla, critical trigger. 2 grade 0 Gatling Claw Dragon, draw trigger. 2 grade 0 Steel Dragon Art Peak, draw trigger. And 4 grade 0 Dragon Dancer Tara, heal trigger. The grade 0 Dragon Dancer Paloma, critical trigger. Skill, continuous from the hand. While paying the cost for stride, this card may be discarded as a grade 3. Silver Paloma, a powerful critical trigger to play in your Kagero decks. With its skill, just by using her to pay for the stride cost, you can treat her as a grade 3, thus reducing the number of cards you have to discard for the usual stride cost. The grade 0 Dragon Dancer Tikla, critical trigger. Skill, auto as a rear guard. Generation break 1. When your Vanguard attacks, cost, put this unit in your soul. If the cost is paid, draw a card, and one of your units gets plus 10,000 power until end of battle. So for Tikla, another powerful critical trigger to play in your Kagero decks with skill, just by having it on your rear guard when your Vanguard attacks, as long as you don't mind moving Tikla from your soul to your rear guard, not only do you get to build up your soul for later Soul Blast, but to also draw a card and give your Vanguard more power to potentially pressure your opponent with. The grade 0, Gatling Claw Dragon, draw trigger, skill, action as a rear guard, cost, counterblast 1 and put this unit into your soul. If the cost and paid, if you have Kagero Vanguard, choose up to one of your opponent's grade 0 rear guards and retire it. So for Gatling Claw Dragon, a powerful draw trigger to play in your Kagero decks with skill. By paying the cost, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blast, but to also retire one of your opponent's rear guards that are in grade 0. The grade 0, Steel Dragon Art Peak, skill, action as a rear guard, put this unit into your soul. If these cost and paid, choose one of your Kagero units, and that unit gets plus 3000 power until end of turn. So for Art Peak, another powerful draw trigger to play in your Kagero decks with its skill. Not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blast, but to also give your remaining attackers in the field a little extra power to work with. The grade 0, Dragon Dancer Tara, heal trigger, skill, auto. When this card is discarded from hand for the cost of calling a G Guardian, cost, bind this card and bind another heal trigger from drop zone. If the cost and paid, you can countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. So for Tara, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Kagero decks with its skill. When used to pay for the cost of a G Guardian, after guarding, as long as you don't mind binding Tara and one other heal trigger from your drop zone, you get to either refund your counterblast or build up your soul for later soul blasts. And of that, we just about cover the deck's trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 8 critical triggers, 4 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. And now for the G Zone. For the cards in this G Zone, we are starting with the G units. For the G units in this deck, we are playing 1. Grade 4, Harmonics Messiah. 4. Grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Dragonic Overlord the Purge. 2. Grade 4, Flare General, Dumjet Valor. 4. Grade 4, Flare Arms, Ziegenberg. And 1. Grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Zanbus Dragon. The Grade 4, Harmonics Messiah. Skills. First skill, Continuous. You may only have 1 Harmonics Messiah G unit in a G deck. Second skill, Stride Step. Cost. Choose 1 or more cards from hand with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card on your Vanguard circle from face down. Third skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on Vanguard circle, choose any number of your locked cards and unlock them. Choose the same number of cards from your hand as the number of cards unlocked by this effect and discard them. Fourth skill, Auto. As a Vanguard or from the G Zone. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle or at the beginning of your turn, if this card is face up, your damage zone has 2 or less cards and no new card was put into your damage zone during your opponent's preceding turn. Cost. Put the top card of your deck into the damage zone. If the cost and paid, draw a card. Fifth skill, Auto from the G Zone. When your grade 1 unit is placed by riding from a grade 0, if you went second, cost, reveal this card. If the cost and paid, put a Guardian Shield ticket into your hand. So for Harmonics Messiah, it's a pretty powerful G unit to play in any deck in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game with its skills. The third skill, just by striding this card to your Vanguard, you can unlock all of the locked cards in your field. Thereby, if you face against an opponent that specializes in locking your rear guards to prevent you from getting any advantages in your turn, this G unit alone can unlock them and restore your field to full power and give you the advantages you need to help you pressure or finish off your opponent. And the fourth skill, if you strike this card or if it's face up on your G Zone at the beginning of your turn, as long as the conditions of the skill are met, not only do you get to put a card on your damage zone to give you a counter blast to use in your turn, but you can also draw a card to restock your hand with. And the fifth skill, while this card is in the G Zone, when you ride from grade 0 to grade 1, by paying the cost, you get to add a Guardian Shield ticket to your hand, which can serve as a 20,000 point shield for your upcoming defenses. The Grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Dragonic Overlord the Purge. Skills. First skill, Stride Step. Cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the same sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard circle from face down. Second skill, action is a Vanguard once per turn. Cost, choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. Choose a card of Overlord in its card name from hand and put it into your soul. If the cost and paid, if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 4 or less, choose one of your opponent's Vanguards and deal 1 damage. During that damage check, all trigger effects are nullified. Third skill, continuous from the Vanguard, Generation Break 3. This unit has the same number of drive as the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone. So for the Purge, it's a pretty powerful G unit to play in the Kagero deck, especially for the Overlord series. With its skills, second skill, by paying the cost, not only do you get to deal 1 damage to your opponent, but that damage cannot use any trigger effects, thereby not only do you get to pressure your opponent with early damage before you attack them, but also you can rest easy by knowing that that 1 damage will not get your opponent any trigger effects to hinder your upcoming offensive attacks. And the third skill, depending on the conditions fulfilled by this third skill, you can increase the number of drive checks you can do in 1 turn, giving you the chance to not only get more triggers, but to also restock your hand of the increased drive checks. And okie dokie, the Grade 4, Dragonic Overlord to Purge. The Grade 4, Flare General Dumbjet Valor. Skills, first skill, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard from face down. Second skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, Blaze. Third skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, when placed, cost. Counterblast 1, and turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of turn for each sentinel in your drop zone. Fourth skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, once per turn. When your opponent's sentinel or G guardian is placed, you may stand this blazing unit and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dumbjet Valor, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, the second skill. For those of you who've kept up the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game since the G format, you should know what Blaze is. Whenever a unit on your field attacks, as long as you have more rear guards than your opponent, your Vanguard enters the blazing state. While in the blazing state, you get access to more power or abilities depending on what cards you have in your deck. And the third skill, when stridden, by paying the cost, not only do you get to clear your opponent's field of rear guards, but you can also give your Vanguard a huge boost of power. And the best part about this third skill, it's stackable. But by the time you activate the skill, the more sentinels you have in your drop zone, the more power you give your Vanguard Dumbjet Valor, giving you a easier chance to pressure or finish off your opponent. And the fourth skill, when the conditions of the fourth skill are met, you can stand up your Vanguard for another attack, giving you more opportunities to pressure or finish off your opponent. The Grade 4, Flare Arms, Ziegenberg. Skills, first skill, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card in your Vanguard from face down. Second skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, Blaze. Third skill, Action, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Cost, Soul Blast 1 and choose a face down card with the same card name as this unit from your G zone and turn it face up. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Fourth skill, Auto, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Generation Break 3. Cost, Counterblast 1 and choose the same number of cards from your hand as the number of your opponent's rear guards and discard them. If the cost and paid, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if this unit is blazing, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit and it gets drive -2. So for Ziegenberg, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, the second skill. Since we already explained what Blaze is during the Dumbjet Valor portion of this video, we're skipping ahead. The third skill, by paying the cost, you can clear your opponent's field of rear guards to give you a better advantage. And then the fourth skill, after attacking, by paying the cost, and if the conditions of the skill are met, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack to give you a chance to pressure or finish them off with. The Grade 4, Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Zanbus Dragon. Skills, first skill, Stride Step, cost. Choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from hand and discard them. If the cost and paid, strike this card on your Vanguard circle from face down. Second skill, Action, as a Vanguard, once per turn. Cost, turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost and paid, retire all of your opponent's rear guards and all of your Grade 3 or greater units gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So for Zanbus Dragon, another powerful G unit to play in your Kagero decks with its skills, second skill. By paying the cost, not only do you get to clear your opponent's field of rear guards, but you can also give the Grade 3s in your field, Vanguard and rear included, a huge boost of power, giving you a better chance to pressure finish them off with. And of that, we just about covered the G units. Next, let's get on to the deck's G Guardians. And now for the G Guardians. For the G Guardians in this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Defeat Flare Dragon. 2 Grade 4 Flamewing Steel Beast, Denial Griffin. And 1 Grade 4 Divine Dragon Knight, Absalom. The Grade 4 Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon, Defeat Flare Dragon. Skills for skill G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step. Choose a card from your with heal from your hand and discard it. If the cost is paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto. Cost, counterblast 1 and choose 2 grade 3 or greater Flame Dragons from your drop zone. Put them to the bottom of your deck in any order. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle during battle, your Vanguard of Overlord and its card name is attacked by your opponent's Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, retire all of the rear guards in your opponent's back row. So for Defeat Flare Dragon is a G Guardian designed for the Overlord series with its skill, the second skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, while the conditions of the skill are met, you can retire all of your opponent's back row rear guards, thus allowing you to make your opponent's remaining attacks less likely to hit with the reduced power from losing the back row boosters. The Grade 4 Flamewing Steel Beast, Denial Griffin. Skills for skill G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step. Choose a card with heal from your hand and discard it. If the cost is paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto from the Guardian Circle. When placed, cost counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, choose one of your opponent's attacking rear guards and retire it. So for Denial Griffin, a powerful G Guardian to play in your Kagero decks with skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, you can retire one of your opponent's attacking rear guards, making Denial Griffin a pseudo perfect guard for rear guard attacks. The Grade 4 Divine Dragon Knight, Absalom. Skills for skill G Guardian, usable when both fighters' vanguards are grade 3 or greater, and the number of face-up G Guardians in your G zone is 3 or less. Opponent's turn, guard step. Cost, choose a card with heal from your hand, discard it. If the cost is paid, call this card to your Guardian Circle from face down. Second skill, auto. Cost, counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle during battle, your Vanguard was attacked by your opponent's Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield until end of battle for each of your opponent's open rear guard circles. So for Absalom, another powerful G Guardian to play in your Kagero decks with its skill. When used to guard with and paying the cost, depending on the conditions of the battlefield, for your Absalom alone can serve as a very powerful protector for your upcoming defense against your opponents. For this unit gets plus 10,000 shield for every empty rearguard circle on your opponent's field. So if you play a Kagero deck that specializes in retiring your opponent's rearguards and your opponent cannot refill them by the time it's time for them to attack, your Absalom can then serve as a very powerful shield against your opponent. And at that, we just about covered the deck's G Guardians. And of that, that's just about all the time we have for today. First I want to say is, thank you to the viewers watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. And I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And of that I say, goodbye and see you all.